Welcome to It Depends, a sales tax podcast by TaxConnex. I'm your host, Brian Greer. Sales and use tax can be confusing and very overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. Whether you work in industry or at a CPA firm, or just someone who wants to stay informed about the latest sales tax laws, we've got you covered. Periodically, we'll explore different aspects of sales tax. So whether you're a tax pro or a novice, tune in and join us as we attempt to simplify the complexity of the sales tax world. This is It Depends, because with sales tax, there's rarely just one answer, and often that's our answer to many questions. It just depends.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to It Depends. We have a very special episode today. We're going to learn what it takes to build a proprietary platform that keeps our sales tax compliance moving while scaling a business to grow. In this episode, we talk to our head of operations, Jackie Breiter, about Connexion, how it started, how it's evolved, and how it's helping us deliver more value to clients while keeping our remote teams connected and productive. Thanks for joining us today, Jackie. Just before we jump in, let's talk a little bit about your background and have some of the listeners get to know you a little bit.
Yeah. Hi, Kate. Thanks for the invitation to the podcast. Although you started out saying a very special episode, and I'm not sure how special having a non-tax person on a tax podcast is going to be, but we'll see how it goes.
That's what makes it special.
There you go. So I guess I just started that with my background saying I'm not a sales tax guru, as many of the people that TaxConnex has in our business, as well as guests of this podcast. By schooling, I'm an industrial engineer. I became a business leader, focused on operations and technology through a background in various industries. I've been in telecommunications, software, pharmacy services, higher education, and now here I am at tax. Besides different industries, I've been in different size businesses, large enterprises, a startup. I've been in different roles from IT, product, operations, professional services. I've even been in sales and marketing, was a general manager of a business and brought all that together with financial oversight. So as I say all that, it just sounds like I'm all over the place. I'm not sure it's a good story or not, but I think it fits my name, as you said, Jackie. So I just go with Jack of all trades concept and sum it up with just, I guess I've moved around into different functions in industry because I'm just really fascinated about learning about businesses. And by doing that, I've been able to kind of feed that desire. So that's a little bit about myself.
Very cool. I mean, it's great that you get to pull from all those different types of experiences. You mentioned you had an engineering degree. So what's an engineer doing at a sales tax company?
It's a bit of an odd story. Turns out that small world connection with myself and Robert and his past partners in another business. So we wandered upon each other. But really, at first, I kind of was like, sales tax, really? Wasn't sure how this was all going to fit together. And it turns out that sales tax is a business with a ton of data that requires processing to achieve the outputs. Well, that doesn't happen without people, process, and technology, which is essentially what an industrial engineer does. You look at how to make things more efficient, how to optimize it. And so it really all just kind of fit together and drew me into this opportunity to help build this integrated business that aligns what we do internally with what our customers need and build the technology to do so. So in 2019, I took the plunge and joined the three partners that were here at the time to help grow and scale. And here I still am 6.5 years later.
Got it. That makes sense. And that's a great transition to talk about how you kind of scale a business with the proprietary platform. So want to just kind of jump into that. So part of scaling a company involves technology, which is the topic of today's podcast, how to build a proprietary platform. So what is this platform at TaxConnex and what does it do exactly?
Yeah, the platform is called Connexion, spelled with an X, part of our name TaxConnex, part of the name tax. So a lot of people spell it wrong, but it's kind of cool. It's spelled with an X. And it manages the entire workflow of our business, which is the sales tax compliance outsourcing, most importantly with a remote workforce. The key to it is the platform itself is that it's not just about the technology. It's about how do you leverage that technology and blend it with the human beings that are actually working and supporting our clients to achieve that promise. So there's very intentional places where we're looking to automate and have the technology do things. And then there's very intentional places where we make sure that our practitioners and our team is very involved in the decision making. So it's a little bit about what the platform does.
Got it. So what would you say was the original problem or gap that led us to create Connexion?
I wasn't here when it started, so have to give credit to our company founder, Robert Dumas. Connexion was his brainchild. He was starting his second sales tax compliance business, and he needed a platform to manage the workflow with that significant amount of data that we already mentioned and the remote workforce. So it started from and really followed his workflow in terms of how he did sales tax compliance. He engaged I say super sharp developer, mostly because he's also still here today, that built the system up very specific to the business model that Robert had built. And the individual that built that is now our director of product and technology services. So I would say the original vision for Connexion came from the learnings that Robert had with his first company, which was that sales tax can't be hidden in a black box behind the system, if you will. You need visibility to the data. You need visibility to the transactions. There's thousands of local and state jurisdictions. So we've built Connexion with that purpose in mind to be able to manage all that with visibility. And then also I've said it already, and I'll probably keep saying it, with the human in the loop mindset. Way before human in the loop was cool with AI, we were doing it.
Yeah. I love it. That's awesome. So could you walk us through how Connexion supports both our clients and our remote practitioners kind of day to day?
Connexion's more than just a technology or software. It's really a platform that provides different functions and features for our practitioners to be able to support the end-to-end compliance process. And so it manages all the details of a client's tax filings, from getting the data, getting that data processed, aligned and mapped to a particular return, through all of the treasury processes. So one of the unique things about TaxConnex and Connexion is that we actually run all of the treasury management through a fiduciary account. So Connexion has all of those features to be able to manage and monitor the payments, reconcile it against our bank account, manage the risk, and so forth. So maybe the easiest way to think about this is that it's a toolbox that provides a practitioner everything they need to manage a client's compliance schedule. Tax calendars, term preparation, treasury, the so fun notice management that you can't avoid because there's just lots of communication. I'm shocked at how much mail and how much paper we still get from jurisdictions. So it's all of those things, plus the visibility for the operations leadership team to really be able to monitor and manage the ongoing monthly process.
That's great. Okay, so that's kind of how it supports the practitioners, but how does it help with our clients?
Yeah, our clients, we've created a version of Connexion because everything I just described, it's a lot. One of the clients hire us is they don't want to have to do all of that. So we don't necessarily want them to have to see all that and be in the sausage making. What we want is for them to see a simplified version of that. So for our clients, we have something called Client Connexion. And from that, they engage with our practitioners where they kick off the monthly compliance process by uploading their data. So that's really where everything starts. Clients will upload their data into our portal. It is integrated directly into Connexion. We actually built an API between our two systems to be able to get that. And then from there on out, everything the practitioner does that the client needs will get fed back into Client Connexion. So for example, when they process the data, they create a tax liability report, which will then get pushed back so that the client can see it and see their tax liability aligned to a tax return. Their invoices will go back through there. All of their returns, when the returns are processed and filed by the practitioner, copies of the return, copies of payment confirmations will go through there, as well as all the copies of the notices with the resolution. So really, it's the client's view of what the practitioner is doing without having to those details of how it's happening. The other piece, and I probably should have started with this, is that when we onboard new clients, there's two versions of what we call Client Connexion. One is the roadmap to onboard, and then the second is what I described first. So I went out of order. So the first one being when we onboard a client, there's a lot of information we have to capture securely. And so Client Connexion that phase is capturing that information, making sure we understand their legal entities, their structure, all the details that we need in order for us to get up and running. So once that happens, a switch gets flipped and they move into kind of the compliance process. So there's kind of two different views of client connection, depending on where the client is with us on that journey.
Okay, great. Yeah, it sounds like the perfect amount of visibility for the clients and for the practitioners. So what would you say has been like the most impactful result or improvement since rolling out the platform?
Yeah, goodness, there's so many. I was going to say gosh, but that made me sound really old. So I decided to say goodness, different G word. So anyway, there's so many things that are impactful. As I mentioned, it was a toolkit. So there's a lot in there. I would say, really, you said it, with the most impactful thing is the visibility. So being able to have that visibility into the monthly compliance process is really a key. We're filing tens of thousands of returns a month, lots of money going through here. So we need to know exactly what's been completed, what still needs to be completed. Compliance is insane with really strict monthly due dates. So to be able to really manage that, that's what happens in Connexion that I think is the most impactful. And just kind of speaking of those due dates, man, when I joined Connexion, when I joined TaxConnex, see, you get Connexion, TaxConnex all mixed up with that X in there. When I joined the team, and I don't know if you've lived this, Cate, or not, but the team would tell you how fast time goes. It's true. Like, it just speeds along this monthly cycle. And so without a tool like Connexion to be able to really manage that, it'd be almost impossible to scale and grow at the pace of the business that we run. So I think that's one of the primary things. Obviously, the treasury function is huge. We track every penny. Everything that goes through our system gets tracked, gets managed, fraudulent transactions, all that good stuff. So that's a critical risk component of what Connexion does, which probably that's the biggest thing that Connexion does, is manage risk for our company and our clients. We also have a new return preparation solution that takes client data, maps it to the return codes based on the content that we've built. So it's not a black box. It takes the information, maps it, and then our practitioners are really reviewing the raw data against those returns to ensure that it gets filed appropriately. So that's a lot. There's a lot that happens in there, and that's probably just, maybe half of what the system can do.
Yeah. Well, great. I can imagine with an internal platform like this, it's something that you have to consistently update and keep relevant. What are some of the biggest challenges with doing that?
I think one of the challenges are so many opportunities to add more automation, more efficiency, more functionality. It's really tough to keep up with user demands in any software platform. And which user demand takes priority, how long will it take, having a development team that always wants to stay current with new technology, so they want to be out there playing with new things. So it can be a little bit overwhelming, particularly in our business with these monthly cycles, where you have to be really careful about when you do those production deployments and how you get the information out to the end users. So I think number one challenge is really just everybody wants more, and there's so much opportunity and excitement to do it. So we want to, but we want to do it thoughtfully. And then the other is just the evolution of technology. Anybody that's built software, I've been in software for longer than I want to say on a podcast that will keep up with the languages, the code base, keeping it modern, keeping it current. It's always a challenge. We just did a massive upgrade to our entire backend framework, which was huge. So that's always a challenge in any software company. Yeah,
makes sense. So, I mean, a big topic as of late, the name on everyone's lips is AI. Is this something that you guys are thinking about integrating into Connexion in the future? And if you are, how would you see that happening?
Yeah, absolutely. I am having fun with AI just in general of what is AI? What are people thinking? There's so much happening out there, but we are already using it. We're super excited. One of the things I just mentioned was that we used AI to speed up the development of our current upgrade efforts. So when we did that backend framework, we used AI significantly to help do that, which was, and I'm not sure we could have gotten it done. And well, I know And even our development team and our head of product development would tell you that we couldn't have gotten that upgrade done in that short amount of time without those tool sets.
I'm sure.
That's a huge one where we can already show the ROI. We're exploring all kinds of other ways to integrate AI. One of the biggest things out there right now is everybody thinks AI is only about generative predictive text, which ET tools, there are lots of them, absolutely is something that we want to enable for our practitioners to be able to get answers quickly in the moment they need it in their terms. So instead of giving techie answers, we want to be able to have them just natural language, look it up, get answers. So we want to build our own models. We're also thinking about big data. So beyond GPT, we're thinking about, we get a lot of data. How do we leverage that to learn from it, spot trends, help improve quality, help manage and monitor changes in tax laws, which, by the way, happen all the time. Who would have thought? But a lot. And, I could just keep going on and on. There's no shortage of ideas. Long list. We already have a long list of business use cases. It's really about figuring out how we prioritize it, where to make the investments, and how are we thoughtful so that we make sure that it's secure and we protect our clients and protect our business. So that's a little bit of our thought processes around it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's all very exciting. So, a little scary, but it's exciting to have a new challenge and something to learn about,
Yeah, I think
keep,
full circle, back to my beginning. I like to learn. So how much fun is this right now? Great time.
Exactly. Yeah. So just one more final question for you. Any advice that you have for other operations leaders looking to build their own internal tech solution?
I'm pondering that for just a second. That's a tough one. There's so many things that are exciting and go right, and there's so many things that can go wrong. So I think my first piece of advice might be just managing the pace of change and ensure that you are positively impacting your business and not negatively impacting users, because change adoption can be challenging. And so when you're building an internal proprietary platform, you really have to be thinking about what is it doing for the business and how is it impacting your user base, as opposed to when you're developing products that you're selling, you're always looking for new features that you can drive revenue value. This is really about how do we drive more value inside our company, efficiency, make their jobs and their lives easier. So I think, there's just so many opportunities. You can't do it all at once. So I think I already said that, kind of pick your priorities. And then I think my best and most fun advice is fail fast, try things quickly, and then figure out how, after you've done those experiments, how can you take those experiments and bring them into the broader user base. So maybe those are three things: manage pace of change, prioritize, and fail fast.
Perfect. All great advice. I love it. Well, this was all so educational, and I really appreciate you coming on the pod.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. And who knew that I'd be on a sales tax podcast? Hopefully the tax audience finds this a little bit interesting. I don't know. I guess you'll let me know.
I think they will. I did at least. Well, thanks again, Jackie, and we will see you all next time.
Thanks.
This has been It Depends, with another episode explaining the complexities surrounding sales and use tax. We'll see you next time.